Welcome to the Pink Hard Hat Podcast, your go-to source for all things business, feminine leadership, and work-life balance. Your host, Tamara Chase, roofing contractor, CEO of Chase Roofing, entrepreneur queen, and part-time mermaid is here to help build your business owner's toolkit. So put on your pink hard hat and let's dive in.
Thank you very much for coming today. I am super excited to introduce today's guest. We're wearing, well, sort of Christmassy themes with a little outline of animal. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Amy Lemire, my friend, my coach, my fellow student. Mm-hmm. And I'm super excited that she agreed to come today because she has an amazing approach to sales and the mindset around sales. So welcome, Amy.
Hello, Tamara. It's so great to meet with you today. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. So let's start off with a question that I'd love to ask. Who do you serve and how do you serve them?
Sure. So I work with success-driven leaders and teams who want to be more, make more, and sell more with confidence and momentum through aligning success habits and sales skills.
Wow. That's it?
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
It's all you promise. And I personally have seen this firsthand, so everything she's saying is true.
Thank you.
So how do you get in front of these wonderful salespeople?
There's several strategies I follow, Tamara, and I think the first one is, I call this concept casting your net, and it's also a sales strategy that I invite everybody to think about because I feel like sales opportunities, contacts, relationships, people come from a lot of different places. So for me, it's everything from networking to going back to all of the trainees that I trained over 10 years in corporate sales training. Right. They've gone to other companies, they've advanced in their careers or done other things. It's also, for me, really about speaking and getting out in front of people and sharing my message to the world. That's another way that I seem to attract clients.
Awesome. So we can reach out to you for speaking engagements. You'll have to give us information later about it.
I'd love to.
And I wanted to ask you, what are some of the myths about selling?
Okay, I think the number one myth that I most often hear is selling is difficult. And I also hear a myth that only some people are good at sales, and I hear people often say, I'm terrible at sales. And so the first thing to think about is, I don't think sales is hard. I think sales is really all about following a process and learning some skills. And I think everybody can learn how to be great in sales. I am a first example of that myself because when I first got into sales, quite honestly, inspired me to write my book, From Zero to Sales Hero. I was not very good in sales, but I stayed with the learning, I stayed with the process, and I continued to get better. So it does take confidence and perseverance also to stay with it.
So it sounds like what most people would think of is, the best salespeople are the ones that do it on the fly, and really it sounds like a little discipline and a little, that's going to be what really drives the long-term.
Yes, definitely. And I really call this the alignment of the inner game and the outer game, which I call the Sales Confidence Code, which I know we're going to talk about today.
Yes, please tell me about it. What is the Sales Confidence Code?
That is such a great question. The Sales Confidence Code is my personal philosophy from my journey in sales over the years. And what I found is that most of the companies I worked at, whether I was in sales and then later the in-house sales trainer, is they focus more on the doing and the tactics. Close business, handle negotiations, handle objections, just go out there and hustle. And I remember one company I worked at, the VP of sales actually said, find a way, make a way. So what I found though is the biggest thing that was missing was the focus on the mindset. And so I became a student of human potential. I went to workshop seminars, I joined Toastmasters, I did a lot of activities outside of my job because I didn't feel like the companies were providing that. And once I did more of that type of activity, my sales performance got better and better and better. And so that caused me to create this concept called the Sales Confidence Code, that it's, again, the two games we play that bring success.
Yeah. So tell me about that. I mean, that makes sense. You can show all the tactics you want, but if mentally you're coming from fear and lack and those mindsets that can get us tripped up, we're not going to do as well as we can.
That is absolutely correct. And so part of what my philosophy is there's 6 habits that I teach. Yes. And I think one of the biggest habits that drives sales success, quite personally, and looking at my journey, is confidence. Yes. Because I lacked confidence most of my sales career, and I didn't figure that out till like the middle part of my sales career, that was why I was struggling, because the confidence is going to drive the self-discipline, which is another habit, to make the calls, to put yourself out there, to handle rejection. So it's really a matter of thinking about these habits as thought habits, and that we all have these thought habits. And if we align those the right way, we can have a lot of success.
So some of these thought habits we're probably not even aware of.
Yes. It's interesting because there's an assessment that people can take, and it's actually a measure of your subconscious mind and the way that you think and the way you see the world, which is driven by your beliefs, your thought habits, which are also most often driven by past experiences.
So I know because you teach our sales team these concepts, and I've seen firsthand what an amazing. I get goosebumps when I think about it.
Thank you.
It was life changing, and in fact, the first meeting we had for a couple of days was off campus.
Yeah.
And we did the assessments already, and the way you guided us through it and led everybody on the production team and sales team to realize I've just never seen them. I've never seen them work together better or understand where the other team is coming from. And I don't know. I loved the exercises you did and the teachings and then the continuing work that you've done with this all. It's been profound. It really has.
I appreciate that feedback so much. Thank you. That makes my heart smile, because that's one of my biggest missions, I believe, in my life, as I say, is to uplift humanity. And it just so happens to be that the sales and success habits is the channel I do that through. And to your point, I want to give you a compliment, because I also feel it takes a leader, and the group is a reflection of the leader. And the fact that you and your organization have invested in this training, there's an interesting statistic that most leaders of companies only have about 10% of their time to, coach, train, support their teams. And the fact that you said, I get it, I'm going to delegate that to somebody else, and I'm going to, get the support with it. I hope you give yourself a huge pat on the back for that too, because that says a lot about you and your leadership. And I really am impressed by that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
I accept that. So let's go on to, what advice you would give when someone's struggling in business development, in sales. What advice would you give the leaders out there on some proactive tips and things that they can actively do?
The first, and I think probably the biggest tip, there's so many I could give, but I think the one that I most often reflect upon is, I call it the AAA formula. And it's attitude, activity, accountability. And I use this in my business today on a daily basis. So when my results are not where I want them to be, whether it's my sales funnel or my opportunities or my revenue, whatever it is, the first thing I ask myself is, how is my attitude? And I think sometimes we don't realize it, but one of my favorite sayings is from the great sales trainer Zig Ziglar, who said, people buy from who they like and who they trust. Yeah. So if we're not showing up on a daily basis in a positive way in front of our clients, our customers, it does make an impact. The next one is accountability. Accountability to me is what you're doing when nobody's looking. So are we doing the daily activity? Are we making the calls, the outreach? And sales doesn't always have to be cold calling. It can also be, one thing I know that you and your team are great at is getting out and networking in the community. Yeah. We can find a lot of opportunities by just getting outside of our office. And I think people think that looking for business is all about picking up a phone and calling, but it's not, back to the casting the net. It can be calling, it can be LinkedIn, social media, it can be going to networking events, speaking. There's so many ways that we can attract clients. And then the last is activity. I have always believed, from the early days of my sales career, I heard this in the first company I worked for, that activity equals results. And it's really what we do day in and day out that makes us successful. It's okay to have times where the numbers aren't there, and it's okay that sometimes we do need to take vacations and take a break. I believe that's very necessary. And We also want to ensure that the daily activity we do is going to drive the results we want.
Yeah.
So are we wasting time on projects or clients, or sometimes I see people get really involved in activity that's not going to help them meet their numbers and objectives. So it's about having boundaries, also about your time and your commitments.
Yeah.
A lot of different pieces.
Really staying focused on what's important and not just letting the calendar get filled up.
Right, exactly. Easier said than done sometimes. I know you and I are both people persons. We really like to get out there and meet new people, yes.
It is. One thing I learned in networking a long time ago was I would see people that would show up and just like put a card in my face, and I never liked that feeling. And I think really early on, I sort of swallowed that and said, I'm not going to do that to other people.
Right.
And in roofing, you don't always need a roof. So I took the pressure off. I was like, okay, let me just go make friends and hang with people I like.
Exactly.
And build relationships. And then, sometimes 10 years down the road, they reach you,
You never know.
So I love the idea of relationship building and really getting to know someone, not just for like, it's transactional.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So what would you do you have any tips that you would like to leave us if you had one thing that you want anybody in sales to do? What do you think that this is just you need to go do this?
I think my best piece of advice, Tamara, would be to have fun with it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes in life we take things way too seriously. Yeah. And, again, having spent 20 years in a sales career, I know I can say honestly, yes, there can be stress. Yes, there can be pressure. And one of the things I love the most about my work was working with people. So it's really important to find that daily joy in your journey and always ask yourself what your why is. Why did you get into the business you got into, whether it's selling this product or that product? Is so important, and having fun with it is really about being enthusiastic. Enthusiasm, the last 4 letters are I am sold myself. So making sure that we have a product or a service we're selling that we're really excited about.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of advice. That was more than one piece, but those are some bonuses thrown in there.
I love it. So I definitely like the fun part.
Yes, of course.
I definitely like it, because otherwise you forget what you're grinding out.
Exactly.
So I love the fun part. So I would love to know if you can tell us how to get a hold of you. I know you have so many things on your plate that you offer as a beautiful service. I know speaking and the success habits, coaching, and just sales training, and anything else you have on there. If anybody would like to get a hold of you, how is the best way for them to reach out to you?
Okay, sure, absolutely. So I am on social media channels. I'm on LinkedIn, of course, under my name, and also my business name, AIM Training and Consulting. Okay. And I also have a website, which is www.aimtandc.com, which stands for aimtrainingandconsulting.com.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we put the information below.
Great.
So that everyone can get a hold of you.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you for inviting me to speak with you today. I loved it. This was so fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything for you.
You got it.
Thank you for joining us on another empowering episode of the Pink Hard Hat Podcast with host Tamara Chase. We hope you'll build a strong foundation for your business with the insights and tips from our episodes. Until next time, stay inspired, stay fierce, and remember, your business is more than a place. It's a reflection of you.